O Diyos aming Ama, ang lahat ng nilalang ay marapat na sumamba sa iyo. Higit sa iyong mga biyaya, sinasamba ka namin dahil ikaw ay ikaw. Lumalapit kami sa iyo, dakilang tagapaglikha, nagsusumamo at humihingi ng kapatawaran. Kami ay nagkulang at nagkasala. Patawarin mo kami sa katigasan ng aming mga puso. Turuan mo kami at dalhin sa inyong kalooban. Tingnan mo kami ng may awa at kahabagan. Hilumin mo po ang aming bayan, ang aming mga mahal sa buhay, kaibigan, kapitbahay, karatig-bayan, ganon din ang aming mga kaaway sa pandemyang kinahaharap namin sa COVID-19. Isama niyo na rin ang mga may sakit sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Panginoon, balutin mo kami ng inyong kaluwalhatian. Itago mo kami sa lilim ng inyong mga pakpak laban sa anumang kapahamakan o wala sa oras na kamatayan. Kristo, ang tinapay ng buhay, alalahanin niyo po ang mga namumuno sa aming bansa, ang mga ilaw at haligi ng bawat tahanan, at mga kawani na nagtatanggol sa aming seguridad at mga frontliners. Batid mo, Panginoon, ang mga dinaraanan at bawat ganap sa aming buhay. Espiritong Banal, aming tanggulan at gabay, imulat ang aming mga mata at ipakita si Jesus ang Panginoon at tagapagligtas, ang nag-iisang katotohanan at tanging daan tungo sa Ama. Wala nang iba. Purihin ka, O aming Diyos. Ang presensya mo ay tunay na biyaya ng aming buhay. Ito ang aming samot panalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus, Kordero ng Diyos na nag-aalis ng kasalanan ng mundo. Amen.
Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito'y mapapakinggan.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program anchors and producers and do not necessarily reflect the policies and position of this station.
Kalusog na katawan, mapayapang isipan. Gopalakas, malinis na paligid, mabuting kalooban. Gopalakas, hangad na maglingkod sa kapwa at kaibigan. Gopalakas, Gopalakas.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Gopalakas, the premier health and wellness show on the air. Thank you for tuning in again for another Saturday where we will be talking about another aspect of wellness, specifically food security looking forward. We'll show a program poster a little later, pero I'd like to take this opportunity to greet our early listeners. Pagbigyan natin dahil maaga silang nag-tune in sa ating programa. Miss Nitz Lopez Capin, watching from Moncayo, Davao de Oro, says, God bless. God bless you, Nitz. Thank you for tuning in so early. Kalindi Rilova is also up and says, good morning, Gopalakas. Good morning, Kalindi. Thank you for tuning in. Nako, medyo bumaba ata ang ating average early listeners, no? Pakigising na po ang inyong mga loved ones, ang inyong mga kaibigan, at sabihin na sila ay mag-tune in sa ating programa today dahil napaka-exciting ang ating programa at napaka-exciting ang ating guest. Napaka-decorated siya sa kanyang field at for sure marami tayong matututunan sa kanya. I'd like to say good morning also to Mike Rex. Nakalabel ka na, Mike, as our top fan. Thank you for tuning in so early this morning. Now, last week, we were talking about right environment and right attitude, no? In relation to wellness. We had a great guest speaker. He was able to provide some context into how your perspective and your environment and your social circles can sort of change the way you approach life in a way that will increase your overall wellness. Today, we will be discussing a more specific topic on wellness, specifically food. Tek, pakita natin ang ating program poster. Right. So today we will be talking about food security forward-looking. We will introduce our episode guest just in a bit, but this issue has been an issue even before these times of COVID, no? Food security, parati pong problema yan, lalo na dito sa ating bayan na categorized po as a third world, parati pong nagiging issue ang kakulangan sa pagkain. So ngayon, tatalakayin natin ang macro or ang big picture ng issue na ito at magbibigay din tayo ng very specific solutions. I'm sure our episode guest will be able to provide insights on that, no? Kung ano magagawa natin on a personal level and on a national level. Kung paano po relevant ang food security sa ating buhay personal at sa ating bayan bilang bayan ng mga Pilipino. So, on that note, no, it's 10:07 a.m. in the morning. We will be starting our first segment, and for that, I'd like to welcome our segment host, Miss Chandra Fulgencio. Chandra, are you there?
Good morning, Attorney Jai.
Hi,
And
Chandra.
good
How are
morning. I'm very good. Thank you. And I hope you are also, Jai. You look well this morning.
Yes, nakatulog tayo ng
And-
maayos.
Oh, that's good. Ilang beses natin pinag-uusapan sa show na to, napaka-importante ng tulog, ano?
Right. Unfortunately, most of the time, hindi ko rin na pa-practice ang ating mga tips dito sa show, no? Hindi maiwasan dahil sa trabaho, kung ano man. But as I try to practice myself, I would like to also encourage our viewers, no? Kung ano man matutunan nyo sa ating show, practice it little by little in your life. You'll see the changes, no? But enough about that.
Yes.
I don't want to ramble on and on. Chandra, you want to take away the mic ba yun? You can't take my mic, but you'll take away the program for news and updates.
And
Play our intro.
updates.
Let's play our intro for.
All right. Thank you so much. And this morning, I'm going to be sharing with you a couple of news updates regarding or in relation to yung topic natin, no, na food security. And then after that, we'll lead straight into the interview with our very distinguished and decorated guest. So for the first news item, all right, the Asia Pacific region, okay, which is home to half of the world's undernourished people, and with the impacts of COVID, The number of hungry people daw in Southern Asia could rise by nearly a third to 330 million in the next 10 years only. So last month, more than 40 members of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations concluded a 4-day regional conference, which included representatives from the private sector and civil society who all pledged to transform food systems, making them more sustainable, productive, and resilient, and to feed a hungry world in a way that is profitable for farmers yet produces healthy food accessible to all. So, to transform food systems for sustainable, healthy diets, we must have coherence, partnerships, and solidarity to reduce the costs of productions. This is according to FAO Director General Dong Yu, who stated this on the final day of their 35th Regional Conference for Asia and the Pacific. Big data, a digital economy, and mobile technology will help producers achieve that, according to him. Participants also learned more about the establishment of a FAO Office of Innovation and the creation of an international platform for digital food and agriculture. The conference also held a special session dedicated to the application of new technology and innovation in agriculture, which are wooing back young people and empowering ano ba yan? Okay, empowering women in the sector, according to participants. It was agreed that new and innovative food and agricultural policies, processes, investment, and learning could get our region back on track to achieve sustainable development goals, ending hunger, and promoting sustainable agriculture by 2030. All right, and for the second item, locally, the Department of Science and Technology, the DOST, gather the country's leading scientists, researchers, and decision makers from both the public and year strategic foresight plan, offering inclusive and sustainable solutions to the country's woes at the 42nd annual scientific meeting of the National Academy of Science and Technology, Philippines. Topics during the 3-day scientific meeting with the theme Science and Technology for Society, Solutions to Long-Standing Concerns, focused on food system and health, energy and water, environment, climate change, and blue economy, information and communications technology, shelter and other infrastructure, and science education and talent retention. According to Science Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña, the topics were geared to come up with efficient resolutions to help our government and our fellow countrymen to overcome difficulties through science, technology, and innovation. And it aimed to bind all the members of the academe, researchers, scientists, and government agencies across the country to share and profile their research, with particular focus on the applications of science and technology for the Philippines towards sustainability, resiliency, and recovery. Okay, so on that note, today on the show, we are actually honored to have somebody who is part of the NAST. Okay, he has served the nation through his intellect, vision, and commitment in the field of science. He is an emeritus professor at the Department of Chemistry at Ateneo de Manila, where he also obtained his BS Chemistry degree. He received his MA and PhD degrees in chemistry from Princeton University in New Jersey, and was also a postdoctoral research associate at Oxford University, the University of Tokyo, and the University of Minnesota. Our guest has done numerous research and published papers on medicinal plants, coconut oil, and environmental chemistry in various scientific journals. He conducted the initial phytochemical research on lagundi, all right, in the 80s, and worked on other Philippine medicinal plants. In the 2000s, he started doing research on coconut oil and has authored a book and numerous articles and even given talks about its benefits. He was admitted as an academician to the National Academy of Science and Technology Philippines, NAST, in 2009. It is an attached agency to the DOST mandated by law to advise the President and the Cabinet on matters related to science and technology, and is currently its Vice President. In 2006, he was appointed chair of the Scientific Advisory Committee for Health of the International Coconut Community, and he is also the current director of the National Chemistry Instrumentation Center and the current president of the Integrated Chemists of the Philippines. So it is with pleasure that we welcome on the show Dr. Fabian M. Dayrit, or Dr. Toby.
Hi, good morning, Chandra. Thank you for the
Magandang umaga
introduction.
po,
Magandang
Doc.
umaga. Thank you.
Yes. We're so honored to have you on the show, and we're really looking forward to hearing about all of this, what you have done, okay, and all of your research and all. So let's start with Doc. After that conclusion of the annual scientific meeting of the NAST, what are some of the recommendations or updates that you can share with us in relation to our country having more food security, hopefully, in the next 30 years?
Well, there are several topics there that are really relevant to food security. Yung isa, one of the topics is really on agriculture, how to transform agriculture, make it more sustainable, and also nutrition. So you really can't separate agriculture and nutrition. We have to grow the food that's nutritious and make sure it's available to people, which is, I think, a challenge. The other topic that's very relevant to food security is the topic on the blue economy. For about 4 years now, the National Academy of Science and Technology has been advocating for the creation of a separate department on marine resources. Marine resources,
Okay.
the Philippines is there's more water than land in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, marine resources is under the Department of Agriculture. But for practical, hindi naman kaya ng DA. Mostly they really look at land agriculture. They have a section on fisheries, but fisheries should be much larger than what it is. What it is, the attention that's being given to it should be much bigger. We have a lot of marine resources, and when you talk about marine resources, we also have to talk about the technology that will enable us to harness the marine resources. Wala tayong we don't have any boat industry. We don't have any boat building. I mean, a reasonable boat building industry. The boats that our fishermen use are the ones that they've been using for the past 100 years. So how can you have
Okay.
an efficient fishing fleet? Ngayon kailangan mo ng radar, kailangan mo ng sonar. You need a lot of technology to do efficient fishing. Fuel is very expensive, so you need boats that are fuel efficient, and you need to be able to track your marine resources. Actually, you just can't fish. I mean, of course, the fish will disappear if you just keep fishing. So fisheries have to be managed, and so we need really a separate department that will focus on the specific needs of marine resources, and that's what the blue economy is all about. It's really blue economy around marine resources, which includes both the living fisheries resources as well as the non-living. So those are, I guess, the two major topics that we covered that affect food security.
Okay. So we actually, in our country, Doc, has all the natural resources that we need to sustain ourselves, I believe.
Yes.
And it's just that they haven't been tapped, or they're not being further researched or studied. So one of these is the recent. Would you say recent? But for you, Doc, it would not be, because you've been studying it for 15 years already. I know. And you've even written a book about it, a popular book entitled Coconut Oil From Diet to Therapy, which you released in 2013. So ongoing research on this and its many benefits have resurfaced, although some other countries are saying, that's not true. So could you tell us a bit more about this, Doc, and why you have been espousing or advocating the use of coconut oil, specifically VCO?
Well, I guess it started. Actually, it was my father who started it. He's
Okay.
been working on it since the 1960s. He's a medical doctor. He's a pharmacologist, also a cardiologist. So he knows all about heart disease. And he was one of the few medical doctors who advocated for the use of coconut oil for health. In
Oh,
fact, he was also the first um, person to test coconut oil against HIV, AIDS. This is in
okay.
1998. Um, there was a clinical study that was done at the Department of Health, San Lazaro Hospital, and he's been advocating for coconut oil. He passed away in 2007. Now, initially, I was just helping him with chemical analysis, fatty acids, and then I started reading up on it, and just reading up the literature convinced me that it's really a healthy oil, and that those
Mm,
who are trying to um, prevent its use are actually those who don't consume coconut oil.
mm.
They're the Americans, and so
Yes.
and I actually have a lot of evidence for that. I mean, you can't write a book without evidence. So I'm pretty convinced that it's a healthy oil, and it's also an oil that's the coconut tree is a very sustainable product,
Mm.
resource. So here you have a resource that's both sustainable as well as healthy. And so, yeah, those are the little things I'd like to share with you this morning.
Okay. So I think we have the presentation po, no, Doc, about this. Let's talk
Yeah,
more about it. Um, can we put
so
that
yeah,
up? Ayan. So
yeah.
this is your book po, no?
No, well, actually, this is
Ano?
a presentation. Well, it's not quite my book. It's just a few slides, about 15, just to walk us through um, the latest in what's happening on coconut oil. And for those who are not familiar with it, hopefully you'll discover some new things that would um, you know make you believe that coconut is something that we should really be promoting.
Okay.
Sige. Yeah, anyway, so if you just back up again, yung just the title page. Can you go back? Yeah. Actually, anywhere the coconut grows in the tropics. Uh, the big coconut producing countries are actually the biggest one would be Indonesia. It's by land area and population there much bigger than the Philippines. Philippines is next. India is also a big coconut producer, and anywhere you go, they really call coconut the tree of life. I don't
Mm.
know where this name tree of life really originated from, but you go to any place that coconuts there, and the people call it the tree of life. And hopefully, I'll be able to explain to you
Why?
why it is so. Again, so next slide, please. Yeah, so I just took this. It's usually a prayer, but it summarizes the attitude we should have for the coconut. So this is from Genesis. So as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. And actually, we just say, as I gave you the coconut tree, I gave you everything. And in a way, that's true because you go to a Pacific island, coconut is there, and they can, they get a lot of their
Survive.
food from the coconut. So it's really literally true in some places that the coconut is almost everything to them. Of course, they eat other things, but so yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, no, this is maybe it's a bit too small, but the coconut is really more than 100 products you can make. So, and this is just starting from the nut. So you have the nut there in the middle, and these are
Mm-hmm.
some of the products you get from the nut alone. We're not even talking about the other parts of the coconut, like of course the
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 husks.
husk, the leaves, the trunk,
Mm.
etc. But these are all from the nut. So if you just follow one of the paths, let's say if you go down, you get some of the industrial products that what we call oleochemicals. And so you have biodiesel. Biodiesel is, mandated, coconut methyl esters. You can get oleochemicals. We get a lot of the best shampoos and are from coconut lauric acid. Then you get
Okay.
charcoal, and you can have
Yes.
charcoal, which is just the simple charcoal, but you can package it as high value. These are air filters and water filters. Um, Now and then you can get, of course, you can get cooking oil, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course you can also get VCO, virgin coconut oil, which I'll talk about. If we move up, of course, you get coconut coir, a lot of fiber. You get, if you up on the top, that's nata de coco. Maybe it's a bit too small.
Yes.
Of course, you get coconut water. You get other, coconut aminos, um,
Yes.
coconut milk, coconut flour. You cook a lot with it, and there you have dishes. Um, Actually, most of the countries around the equator will have a coconut dish. I'll show that maybe in the next slide. So there are a lot of products from the coconut. This is a list.
Wow.
Just prepared. This is from the International Coconut Community, and this is an incomplete list. Um, these are more than almost 100 products that you can make out of the This is from the coconut nut. Hindi pa yung kasama yung ibang parts of the
Parts of the
coconut.
coconut. Mm-mm.
So a lot of products you can get from the coconut. Again, next slide. Now, the map shows you the area outlined in red where the coconut tree grows. It's mainly tropical and coastal, and
Mm.
that's about 1 billion people who consume the coconut. Um, so it's a healthy diet being consumed by people in the tropics and the Pacific for over thousands of years. In fact, the Pacific Islands would not have been populated if there were no coconuts. Because when you travel from island to island, it takes you 2 weeks. Then you follow the stars. Anong iinumin mo? You can't. They didn't have bottled water. They usually can't drink salt water, seawater. They can't
Mm-hmm.
bring along, water, put it in their boats and consume it for the next month. What they would take would be coconuts. And
Mm.
when they land on an island, there are coconuts. That's what you can drink. So, y- yeah, the Pacific Islands would not have been, people would not have been able to populate the Pacific Islands if there was no coconut.
Yes.
So there are about 1 billion people. Now, in comparison, the Mediterranean diet, which is also a healthy diet, is about 500,000 people. So there are more people consuming the coconut than the Mediterranean diet. Now, but of course, since it's the West that has all of the media, then they keep pushing the Mediterranean diet. I'm not
Yes.
denying that Mediterranean diet's good, but I think the tropical diet based on coconut is just as good. Now, the box on the bottom, these are food items that been developed from the coconut. So this is just the food part. So you've got
Mm. Okay.
cooking oil, VCO, coconut flour, milk, cream, coconut water, nata de coco, coconut wine, vinegar, aminos, sugar, yogurt. Just have partially. There's more. And then the one in small print, which you can't read, are the dishes, culinary dishes from all over the world that use
Oh,
coconut.
coconut milk.
So, iba-iba. Kasama dyan ang gata. Gata, of course, Philippine, but the Indians have their own version. The Thai, the Indonesians, Malaysians, they all have their coconut version. The curry, which is very popular, is the base of the curry is coconut.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so a lot of people really consume the coconut. Sige, next slide.
And you cannot have too
Yeah.
much coconut, no, Doc?
Well,
Is
well,
there
well, actually,
side
there's
effect?
research. Well, of course, in the modern life, we're more sedentary. But there's a publication, 1981, where this researcher he measured the fat intake of Pacific Islanders. This is before they became started eating Western food. In one island, they were taking up to 60% of their calories just coconut, and they were healthy.
Mhm.
So, of course, I wouldn't advocate that that's all you eat, but there are people that consume it heavily and they have no problems. So, and no one's really died from eating coconut. So, yeah, but
That's true,
anyway,
though. I guess
uh,
they're pushing high that calorie count is too high, diba? They're saying it's
well,
too high in fat.
yeah, well, I have another lecture on that, but we can shoot that down. But anyway, so here, so from that big list, we'll just focus here on virgin coconut oil.
Okay.
So virgin coconut oil you get from the fresh meat of the coconut. There are different methods of making it. Coconut meat contains about 35% coconut oil. So if you're gonna kung kumakain ka ng gata, um, then basta kung inubos mo lahat yun, then 35% by weight of the coconut meat you put in would be coconut oil. So those who eat a coconut-based diet actually consume fair amount of coconut oil. So VCO is obtained directly from the fresh coconut meat without chemical processing. So that is in contrast to copra. Copra, which we use to make cooking oil, you have to do chemical processing to clean it up.
Mm.
For VCO, you can do expeller. So you squeeze out the oil using an expeller press, and you can collect the oil, or you can convert that to coconut milk, um, and then separate the coconut oil from the milk, either by fermentation or by centrifuge. So that
Mm.
there's three main processes for making VCO. And VCO officially is what we call GRAS, generally recognized as safe, meaning that there's um, no harm from taking VCO.
Mm.
Yeah. Take it.
So this
Next
is
slide.
what is called cold press, no, Doc? Cold press
Iba-iba.
extraction.
Well,
Iba-iba.
cold press, yeah, there are different versions. Uh, Whether it's completely cold press or whether you use some heat. And those are the different technologies of making VCO. But
And all of
basically,
them are okay.
yeah, all of them are okay. I think the most important thing is that it's made cleanly because it's quite susceptible to microbial deterioration. So, for me, as long as the process is clean, you observe GMP, good manufacturing practice, and all of these HACCP, hazard analysis. The product will be, should be good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Next slide,
Next.
please. Okay. So VCO is known as a functional food. A food is supposed to provide calories. If you call it a functional food, it means it provides benefits beyond just providing calories. And here are just two articles that explain. The article on the left, this is by some Malaysians, says virgin coconut oil, emerging functional food oil. And then the article on the right is an article I wrote, properties of lauric acid and their significance in coconut oil. Lauric acid is the major fatty acid in coconut oil. And I'll focus on the aspect. Well, first, lauric acid is non-fattening. So you can take coconut oil and it won't make you fat, not like if you take, animal fat, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because lauric acid is easily metabolized.
Mm-hmm.
The second point, which I'll focus on in this presentation, is that lauric acid and monolaurin have the strongest antimicrobial activity among fatty acids and their derivatives. So we'll focus on the antimicrobial activity of VCO. There are other activities, but for now, we'll just do the antimicrobial PVT. Again, next slide.
Okay.
Okay. This is just a list of the organisms that have been shown to be susceptible to lauric acid and its derivatives. So those are, a lot of bacteria, Bacillus, Candida, Clostridium. So these are bacteria that are cause harm.
To the body.
Yeah, E. coli, Enterococcus. So that E. coli 0157 H7, that's the E. coli type of E. coli that actually is the yung food poisoning. That's the E. coli. That's maraming E. coli, and that particular, I don't know what you call it, variety type of E. coli is the one that's particularly harmful. The one underneath it, Helicobacter pylori, is very important. That's the bacteria that causes ulcers. So, di ba
Okay.
sabi ulcers, kung nagugutom ka parati, that's ulcers.
Yes.
Actually, not that. It's a bacterial infection.
Oh, okay.
Helicobacter pylori is the causative.
Caused by a bacteria. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then you have other things, listeria. These are all really harmful. On the right-hand column, you have Staph aureus, Staphylococcus aureus. The one below it is
So ang dami niyang
methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This is the problem in hospitals, where because they use a lot of antibiotics, the Staphylococcus aureus becomes resistant to the drug.
Okay.
So,
Doc,
ayan,
for the antibacterial or antimicrobial properties, you have to ingest it, or is also okay to be topically applied?
actually, it's both topically and internally. So some of those bacteria are actually skin bacteria. Some of them are internal. But down at the bottom, you have some viruses. Junin virus and vesicular stomatitis virus. So it's active against quite a number of bacteria and viruses. But we can't say that it's effective against all bacteria or all viruses. You will have to test them one by one. So while you can claim that it is antibacterial, antiviral, you still have to test it one by one because it's not active naman against all bacteria or all viruses. So that's where you need some research. Okay. So next slide, please. Now this is an example of it's antiviral, antibacterial, as well as nutritional properties. And this one is on neonates. These are yung newborn babies under premature. So this paper was done by some UP Manila researchers at PGH. So the title, Virgin Coconut Oil for the Prevention of Sepsis Among Preterm Neonates Weighing Less Than 1.5 kilograms at UPPGH. So, well, for those mothers who had premature babies, you know that sepsis is one of the problems that they can die because of infection, and they don't gain weight easily. But if we just go to the results, the last paragraph, it says VCO supplementation reduces the risk of sepsis, augments weight gain, and reduces the duration of hospital stay among preterm neonates younger than 35 weeks. So VCO is recommended as a supplement in preterm neonates. So they're among the most susceptible or weakest humans. You can use VCO. Okay, next slide, please. Now this is a article. It's written by a Filipino dermatologist, and here she was comparing VCO with virgin olive oil in atopic dermatitis. So it's a type of skin disease. It's caused by dryness and Staphylococcus aureus, so a bacterial infection.
A bacteria. Okay.
colonization of the skin. Um, and so she compared VCO and virgin olive oil. And her conclusion, only 5% of VCO subjects remained positive. So 95% were cured versus
Wow.
virgin olive oil, where
Which
only
is
half were
50%.
cured.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, so VCO is better than virgin olive oil in terms of atopic dermatitis. So that's an example of dermal use of VCO. Sige, next slide. Now this is the work that my father did in 1998. This is the first ever clinical trial of monolaurin and coconut oil on HIV infected patients done at San Lazaro. And in that the study, it was a small study, 15 patients, but it was still the results were positive. That favorable outcomes. I think the number of deaths was um, I think only one or two died. But this is not what you call double blind. There was no control population kasi parang did
Mhm.
some ethical concerns about not treating a group of patients and then treating another group. So this is not, yeah, that was the ethics of this. But those that they gave VCO and monolaurin to, the antibody counts improved, what they call CD4, CD8. It showed favorable increase in 5 patients, no serious
Wow.
side effects. So yeah, it's generally positive, although it's too small to make any conclusions. Maybe a bigger study could have been done, but I think they couldn't get the hundreds of patients needed and the funding needed to do a bigger study. Okay, sige, next slide. Okay, so we'll talk a little about COVID,
Uh-huh.
COVID-19. Excuse me. Now, it's worth noting that COVID-19 is actually three types of problems. It's a viral infection affecting initially the respiratory tract. Kaya nga tawag SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. But in addition to affecting the respiratory syndrome, it also affects the whole body. It affects the brain, affects the heart, the vascular system. Um,
Mhm.
you also need an immunomodulatory treatment to strengthen the immune system. So you just need to take antiviral stuff. You have to look at the immune system
Immune
of the
system.
person, and you need anti-inflammatories because you know about the cytokine storm, where the immune system, the inflammatory system overreacts and causes harm. So those are the three problems of COVID-19. So next slide. Now, if you're to do a pharmaceutical strategy, they make antiviral drugs. So that compound that you see there is remdesivir. It just shortens the stay. It's not actually it doesn't prevent COVID-19. It just shortens your stay from
Mm.
15 days to 11 days. So just
Mm.
short treatment. But then they call it an antiviral. That's an antiviral drug. And then immunomodulatory. That's what
They're
vaccines
developing
are
now.
about. Yeah. And anti-inflammatory. Well, it's a good thing there's some relatively inexpensive anti-inflammatory drugs. So among those three, the anti-inflammatory drugs, we know they work. But the antivirals, something not really sure how many of them work, and they're expensive. Remdesivir, several $1,000s for treatment, and vaccines, of course, are also expensive. So if you go to the next slide, this really just summarizes the evidence that we have against viral diseases and somewhat also against partly against COVID-19. So we've been able to show in our own studies that VCO um, can lessen the viral load if it's not too high to take VCO. So, we can actually recommend on that basis, recommend VCO as a prophylactic. So as long as you're
Mm.
not exposed to really severe, large amounts of virus, then
Virus.
it might provide you some protection. Now, for the second part, immunomodulatory, there's evidence that VCO and its components enhance the immune system, although they're against other viruses. And it's also anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of evidence for the anti-inflammatory nature of virgin coconut oil. So they're parang all in one. In
Oo
VCO,
nga.
you have an antiviral, although it's not a strong antiviral, but as a functional food, I think it's quite good. You don't have to take a remdesivir type drug. You just take VCO. Um, it will strengthen your immune system, which we all need, and protect us against strong inflammatory effects. So
And
that's
I,
hmm,
sorry, Doc. I understand clinical trials are currently ongoing, di ba po, locally,
yes.
testing this for the
There are two
patients.
clinical trials which were funded by PCHRD of the UST. One of them is on mild cases in Santa Rosa, Laguna. It's almost maybe during the by the middle of this month they should be done because they have to do um, a double-blind study. Meaning they have a control group and they have a treatment group. They're
Mm.
almost finished, but they've initially reported that the results seem quite good, although it's not yet official. Um, they think when they're done with all the patients, they can report. And initially, they're saying the indications are it's good. The study on the serious cases at PGH is still ongoing.
Okay.
So, yeah, but in general, I think the indications are quite good. Um,
Positive, yeah.
yeah, positive. And if you listen to the news, in fact, when you talk about vaccine, sabi nila 70% efficacy ng vaccine, okay na. So actually, you don't really need. I mean, as far as they're concerned, you don't really need 100% to say it's good.
Vaccine, yeah.
For them, 70%, pwede na. Eh di kung ang VCO ko kahit na mag 70% ka, it's just as good as the vaccine. But we have to wait for the results, on that. And of course, the issue there is it's number of patients is still not that high. These
Ah,
were so I guess even if we get positive results, we should go ahead and do more patients who should understand it further. So we shouldn't
yes.
rest. We shouldn't stop with just saying, okay na siya sila. Dalawang clinical study, hanggang dyan na
Okay
lang.
na. Yeah,
Yeah.
similar no sa India, Doc, di ba? Yung sa HIV, hindi na parang na study further a
Yeah,
bigger scope.
you really need to study it more. You can't just rest on one or two experiments. Oh, sige. Okay, the next slide. Yeah, this is a maybe a slight shift. This is Alzheimer's. One of the benefits of medium chain fatty acids like lauric acid, Alzheimer's is becoming a major concern because people are living longer and they have Alzheimer's is thought to be an inflammation of the brain. And
Mm.
they've actually shown that medium chain fatty acids can alleviate this problem.
Inflammation.
Maybe not stop it or prevent it, but certainly help alleviate the problems due to Alzheimer's. So I think this is a very of great interest in the Western countries because the amount of Alzheimer's there is really increasing.
Mm.
Yeah. Next slide.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is a summary of the health benefits of coconut oil. It's beneficial in many parts of the body. We don't really have time to go through each one, but all of those entries are supported by research. So those are things that we could study further to really validate and study the effects of coconut oil there. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits in coconut oil and a lot of work a lot more work that we should continue to do. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, yeah. So finally, it's also, of course, a coconut farmer. Um, what's important about coconut trees? It's also it's mainly a farmer's crop, small farmers. So the coconut industry will not prosper if the farmers don't prosper. So the challenge for us in the Philippines is when we say promote the coconut industry, you really have to talk about, it's basically it's almost the entire society because coconut farmers are about 25% of farmers in the country. So, promoting the coconut industry is really promoting a sustainable society. It's like, yeah, and promoting a sustainable development since coconut is a an environmental crop. So
And
there,
it's
yeah,
not it's abundant in our country, di ba? Food doc is easy to
yeah.
develop, grow, to produce.
Well, it still needs a lot of work. I mean, coconuts have there are coconut diseases. You still have to take care of them, fertilize, whatever.
Mhm.
So you just can't leave it there and it will take care of you. You have to take care of it also. So
Of
it needs management, yeah. And you need to
course.
choose the best varieties, replant, etc.
And so, Doc, in terms of all this, the information drive in terms of the coconut as a possible, agriculture uh, crop or its benefits, what are the ongoing efforts uh, that we have? Kasi, that we can share to the viewers. How can we know
Yeah.
more?
Well, the PCA is in charge of the agricultural side. So they have they're doing research on the best varieties of coconut. They have nurseries in Bicol and Zamboanga. Um, they have to be more aggressive and or well, not maybe aggressive, not the wrong word. Promote the replanting of coconuts because coconut trees are getting senile. But you have to make it also attractive for the farmer because if you're a poor farmer and it hasn't given you, that much gain, then you wouldn't want to replant. So we really need a program that will do replanting and provide more benefits for the coconut farmer.
An
That's another,
additional
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Doc.
Mhm.
I thought you were done.
Yeah, yes, again.
Apologies for the no. An additional question on that note, no. We have another viewer who's asking if please teach Doc, please teach us where to buy legit VCO or what brand here in Mindanao.
Well, I don't know
Would
the
you have
brand.
any? Mm-mm.
But for me, I think, well, of course, I don't want to endorse brand
Right. Hindi
brands
pa
that
nagbabayad ng
are.
sponsorship yan sa amin, Doc.
But I think you should just buy from legitimate drugstores.
Right. Okay.
That they'll have the reputation to protect. They're
True.
selling good products. So the drugstore should take the responsibility of making sure that the VCO that they're putting on their shelves are
Right.
legitimate VCO. So for me, that's the best way. Buy it from legitimate drugstores
All right. Unless you
or
have anything else.
supermarkets. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that, Doc. Chandra, you have anything else?
That's it for me. I think we have run out of time, but Doc Dayrit has shared so much about VCO. A lot of those, the products, yung mga food products, I didn't even know, I didn't know half of those.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I think I went over time.
No, it's no problem, Doc. It's always a pleasure to have someone of your
Yes.
experience and caliber on our show. If we could, we'd give you all the time, but unfortunately, we can't. We
Yeah.
have to adhere to our program.
Yeah,
And
sure.
hopefully, on that note, no, we can invite you in the future, or if any of our viewers have follow up questions for you, maybe we can forward them to you. Then we can
Sure.
share them on the show for our next episode.
Yeah.
Fortunately, Doc, that's all the time we have
Sige.
for our segment. But on behalf of the Gopalakas team, Chandra would agree with me on this. It's such a pleasure to have you come on the
Sige.
show. Thank you for sharing your expertise.
Sige, salamat din. More power to you.
Thank you, Doc Toby.
Yeah,
To all our
bye-bye.
viewers,
Yeah, thank you.
from wherever you are, give a round of applause to Doc Toby. He won't hear it, but he will feel it in spirit. Ate Chandra, thank you for hosting and guiding that very, very fruitful discussion. We won't go to a break anymore, no. I'll just take this few seconds to greet our viewers who have been tuned in since earlier pa. Reg Tuason, Pinky Libardo, Vishnu Maluya, Ivy, Eva De La C, and Aja. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to Gopalakas. Ate Chandra, thank you again for hosting your segment, and thank you for
Thank you,
interviewing our
Jai.
guest.
And thank you to Dr. Obi Dayrit.
Right. Also over on StreamYard, Nada Philippines, specifically from Miss Janet and Mr. Rafi Paredes, they say, good morning to all. Hello, Toby. Unfortunately, wala na si Doc Toby, no? Pero he'll feel that in spirit. Naks naman, no? Okay. All right. At this point, no, Tech, we can roll the intro for our next segment, Living Wise. Chandra, thank you. See you next episode.
Okay, hi.
good morning.
Magandang umaga ho sa ating mga tagapakinig, our viewers. Again, this is Saturday morning, yeah. So, again, a lot of information came about,
So much to learn.
So much to
Sarap.
learn. Alam nyo, something that's so important to us to understand that we should buy local. There's a lot of good stuff.
Oh,
Sinasabi nga ni Doc Toby kanina. Actually, the Philippines, being in a tropical belt, ang dami ho tayong maraming mga uring native foods available sa atin na talagang napakasustansya. We sometimes tend to be carried away by
Imported.
products, thinking that it's
have
much
the best
better.
here.
But, our country has a lot more to offer than most countries.
Swerte. So
Yan ang swerte
fortunate
natin.
here in the
Yan ang
Philippines.
swerte natin.
Lalo na yung coconut, dati na yan sa atin eh.
Kayamanan.
Ngayon lang nagugustuhan ng ibang tao sa mundo.
And so much information has already been, and research has been done, particularly to the benefits of coconut milk or coconut itself, di ba? Isa pa, nagbibigay ng malaking, siyempre, contribution sa ating mga magsasaka, And that coconut, actually, the Philippines was, pagdating sa nyog or coconut products, we were in the cutting edge for many years. Pero yun nga lang, nakakaligtaan minsan, nahuhuli, nauuna yung mga ibang bansa na nakukuha pa rin yung teknolohiya sa atin. Plus, there was something I want to kind of, the doctor was talking about replanting of coconuts.
Yeah, we need, yeah.
Alam niyo, palm tree yan eh. So dahil ang ating bansa is surrounded by water, maraming coastal areas, except dito sa north, from Bataan to Ilocos Norte, hindi kami makatanim ng nyog.
True.
Kumpara mo sa
It's a
Southern
challenge.
Tagalog or
Oo.
Mindanao or Visayas.
We tried pero namatay.
Talagang
We
there's a
have
part
that beetle kasi,
yung uwang
Uwang.
that attacks the coconut. And there's not been, I'm not sure whether there was an attempt to seriously try to eradicate it. So coconuts can grow in our region sana. Now, with the coconuts, we have to also, there are other facets to it. Di ba, recently, nagkaroon tayo ng kokolisap, di ba?
Yeah.
Yung naging problema.
yeah.
Daming thousands of hectares of coconut plantations were wiped out. And I think they are replanting in these given areas na nagkaroon ng problema. Ang importante sana, we should do a model where we can grow coconuts na naka-integrate ang natural forest sa kanya. So in
Mas
case...
may balance.
para kailangan may balance. At saka, alam mo, ang nyog, totally dependent yan sa pollination.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
You know, now
May
if you don't,
coconut honey rin eh, di
right,
ba?
may
Yes,
coconut honey yan.
oo.
If you cannot provide the proper environment for the pollinators in coconut plantations, so kadalasan yan hindi magiging mas prolific sana kapag may pollinators present. Kaya kailangan pa rin ng mga natural forest malapit sa kanya. At saka yung microclimate niya. Isa pa, dahil nga pinalibutan tayo ng tubig, it's a palm tree. Gustong-gusto niya ng simoy ng dagat.
Island tree,
Mga island tree yan eh. You know?
beach tree.
Di ba? So anyway, kaya napakaganda sa ating bansa niyan. Siyempre, ang isang kailangan i-consider natin dahil napapansin natin na mas malalakas na ang bagyo ngayon eh. Maraming lugar sa atin na tinatamaan ng bagyo directly, naapektuhan talaga yung productivity ng mga coconut plantation natin. Kaya importante na maglagay tayo ng, we create some windbreaks or protection so the coconut plantation can be protected and identify places that are less frequented by typhoons to be able to sustain the industry. Okay, anyway, marami tayong pag-uusapan. Ano? So,
Yes.
maumpisa na tayo kay Tito Socorro.
Yes. This morning, gusto kong i-share sa inyong lahat yung pong nasa libro ni Doc Toby Dayrit. Meron pong magandang statement siya doon na sa prologue. And I'd like to show this and then discuss just a little bit. Kasi it's not just technicalities that he's concerned about, pero may prinsipyo po at saka mga wisdom rin na madadampot tayo. So we'd like to play that video right now.
Modern science and technology have brought us many, many wonderful things. These have improved our lives immeasurably and enabled us to live longer. But modern science and technology have also tended to make us think that the basic things that nature has provided for us are inferior. It is part of human pride that makes us think that what is modern is always better than what nature gives us. Modern science and technology, which we date from the start of the 20th century, was marked with rapid progress, but also by its immature and reckless use. This immaturity can be seen in the Western world's braggadocio that modernity is always better than what nature can provide. The recklessness can be seen in the destruction of nature everywhere. However, some things changed as we reached the 21st century. People slowly realized that modernity is not always better than nature. Ironically, it is from modern scientific studies themselves that we have rediscovered nature's wisdom. Nowhere is this more true than in health and nutrition, where we are rediscovering that many traditional diets are superior to the modern foods that we are eating. That people living longer is a tribute to sanitation and our success with infectious disease. Unfortunately for many, this longer life is burdened with the modern diseases of obesity, diabetes, inflammatory dysfunctions, Alzheimer's disease, and others. Are we living longer only to be sick? Today, people are returning to natural diets in order to live healthier and happier lives, the hallmarks of wellness. And science has been validating the benefits.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
yan po ang wisdom na impart din po sa libro ni Doc Toby Dayrit. And very important for us to understand and appreciate kasi minsan po nagkakaroon ng parang yung nga sinasabi inferior. Ay ang pagkain ng mga mahihirap, ano lang, gata lang na merong talinum at saka talbos ng kamote lang kinakain. Kawawa naman sila.
Sarap.
Hindi sila makabili ng mga imported na sausage or mga meat and mga ganun. So, sa mga trabaho po ng mga scientists ngayon, napapatunayan nila, they're showing through scientific researches that traditional diets are in fact superior. Their natural diets are actually promoting wellness in people. So thank you to the studies of Dr. Dayrit and other scientists, just like yung sa BCO, ay, ang galing pala ng ng coconut oil, ang galing pala ng coconut,
Uy, teka muna, anong libro yun galing? Para we can read that
yung
book.
yung coconut what was that? From diet to therapy, no? From
From
Dr.
diet
Fabian.
to therapy.
Oo. So very helpful po na ma-appreciate natin so that we can also go back to the more natural systems, even in eating, even in preventing diseases, wellness, to study this and to get back to it. No, kahit sa pagpili ng pagkain, bibili natin sa supermarket instead of mga imported. Go for fresh foods, locally produced by farmers. Kagaya niyan yung coconut. Biro mo, pag pumunta ka ng Amerika, magkano din sa yung mga drinks nila ng coconut water.
Ang mahal.
Ang mahal ng mga
oo.
naka-tetra pack na, no?
Tsaka hindi naman masarap. Iba pa rin yung buko natin na fresh.
Swerte natin, fresh dito yung coconut water natin at saka yung meat ng coconut na sana nga meron tayo rin mapakita in the future yung paano gamitin yung coconut meat sa mga pagkain. Pwedeng iluto sa tomato sauce, pwedeng iluto sa lasagna,
Oo.
tapos steak style, merong toyo, calamansi, lemon, ganon.
Actually, pwede rin parang crispy fry yan eh.
Yes, so we're very fortunate po, and we should change our mindset to have a better understanding that the traditional diets are actually very powerful, they're very potent in keeping us healthy, building our immune systems. So it's about it na maganda po yung sinulat dun sa libro ni Dr. Dayrit. Thank you,
Very
Dr.
nice.
Dayrit.
Thank you for
It
sharing.
is so important to note also, eat local.
Yes.
Oo.
What's in your environment? What's marami? And we should not always, alam nyo yung gata, the simple preparation of gata.
Yeah,
We don't
natural
realize
goodness.
how healthy it is to be making sure that on a regular basis, it should be served at home.
Oh, yeah.
Kailangan gawin.
Yes.
Lalo na ngayon, you don't have to make piga-piga yourself. You can
Right.
buy already na piga.
Naka-cold press pa.
Oo.
Nakita nyo sa mga palengke ngayon, pag may nagbebenta mga nyug, may jack pa. Pero malilinis naman yung kanilang pag-cold press. Pero at least
High-tech na.
Filipino ingenuity.
naka-improve na
Expeller.
pagdating dyan. Hindi na kayo magkakayo dun sa sarili ng nyug. Even that can be done for you. So there should not be an excuse.
But
Any excuse not to,
I remember before, one of the people who made ginatang, gatang papaya. It's also very good, no?
Oh, yes.
Pero ang ginagawa niya, ini-smoke niya muna yung meat,
Nyug.
yung nyog.
Yeah, he actually roasts it
Roast it
over
over
the
the fire. So
Yeah.
may smoked flavor.
may nutty taste pa.
Very good.
Smoked flavor, coconut milk,
I
gata.
think that's what they do in Bicol.
Oh, yan.
Kasi it was from there. It's excellent.
So much, This is like, diba, isa pa yan, tree of life nga yan eh.
Sana
Alam
nga
nyo sa mga
dumami
ibang
ang
kultura, let's say in
plantation.
Hawaii, for example, and the Polynesians, every child that's born
Oh,
in their family, they will plant 10 coconut trees.
perfect.
So
Para
sa
may
dami yan,
pagkain
dumami ngayon yung kanilang mga coconut sa kanilang mga isla.
Naku, if we did that here, mapuno na tayo ng coconut.
Sa dami
Kaya lang
ng-
maraming
na pinapanganak.
naputol
Anak.
nung bumagsak
Sana
ang
we do
presyo
that.
ng kopra dahil nagkaroon ng issue na masama raw yung coconut oil, sabi ng mga American
Naku, I
industries.
never believed that.
Bumagsak yung presyo ng coconut kopra, no? And then nagputol na lang ni lumber ng mga
Ay, nako.
tao yung mga coconut tree. Sayang, parang tinanggalan
By
tayo
now,
ng
they
mga...
replanted, no?
Yes. Oo. So yung natin, we're talking about food security.
Yeah.
Fit na fit naman po. Yung
Oh.
coconut in terms of food security is really a big contribution to food security ang ating coconut tree.
I think there should be more promotion of this, sa ating mainstream diet. No?
Like
now.
Ibalik na ulit. Kasi,
Oo, puro
alam nyo, pag
plantain.
nakita nyo yung mga mabibili yung mga fast food type of, alam mo yung mga process dun sa mga supermarket, makikita nyo lang, siyempre, meron na rin Tetra Pak na gata. But it's not the same.
Not the same.
Tapos you will see very limited food products that has coconut milk in it. Kasi ang coconut nga mahirap i-store ng matagal yun.
Yeah.
Napapanis ng mabilis. So there's still no substitute to making sure that you get fresh coconut. fresh coconut milk. Marami naman sa atin eh. So, it should
So,
be something.
sana yung mga mothers, no, instead of buying soft drinks, sana for the children and for mga parties, we use more of the coconut milk, and we have a coconut,
Coconut
shake.
products.
We love to make coconut shake.
Mga
yan.
drinks.
Yeah.
And then that means we also support our own local
Yeah.
farming
Yes.
industry, you know.
Kasi tumataas lang yata ang demand for coconut basta mag-New Year dahil sa buko salad.
Yes, pang Pasko. Itong
Pang Pasko.
padating na Pasko.
Pero regularly po, masarap rin yung gamitin sa daily diet natin.
Well, here in La Union, a lot of people take it kasi mainit dito. It's very good for hydration.
Mm-mm.
Oo.
So anyway, ituloy natin ang pag-uusapan kasi alam nyo, this past week, ang daming mga report na nagugutom ang mga Pilipino,
Oo nga.
especially those who are in the urban centers, no? Ano
Lalo
yan?
na ngayon.
Close to 30%, 32% yata ng mga nasa urban talaga nakatikim ng hirap na pagdating sa pagkain.
Naggutom. Oo.
These are areas that are in, yung mga kahit isang tuka na mga communities natin. Lalo especially this COVID period, no?
Yeah.
And it's still being encountered right now because things are not in a normal condition. People don't have close to 7 million Filipinos are out of work. So ang una talagang naapektuhan ay yung pagkain, yung quality of food. So dahil nakita natin na ang ating shortcomings as a nation, we supported the whole urban environment in times like pandemics where food is it's not readily available. It has to be shipped and brought in and truck in no matter what. It's all dependent on all the deliveries. Nakita natin yung shortcomings natin.
Yes.
So it affected our kababayans. Now, that's why mas pa dapat, we should learn from this and that look into making sure that our countryside will be given an opportunity to develop and grow properly. So yung economies, can support the local communities so they don't need to leave farming sites or their provinces, It was due to not having, a proper way of life sa mga communities natin sa countryside in rural areas. Kaya people are forced to migrate. But sa panahon naman ngayon, baliktad. At least kung sa countryside ka, malapit sa iyo yung ngayon, panahon na ng anihan ng palay it's starting. So food source is closer. Yun ang advantage ng tao nakatira sa rural areas. So ma-prevent natin yung mga malnutrition. No?
Kasi meron nga issues like kahit yung mga kwento ng ibang resort owners sa mga Boracay and yun sa Palawan. Sabi
the
nila,
islands.
ang transportation daw ng gulay from, let's say, from Baguio, baba ng Balintawak, isi-ship pa doon papuntang Palawan.
Ang layo naman.
It's really a long process.
Yes.
So, somebody taught them how to grow vegetables in their
oo,
area.
para local.
So, para nasusuplayan nila yung needs nila, it's more fresh, it's more convenient for them, it's cheaper. So, ganun nga yung idea is in different localities, magkaroon ng program to actually, produce food. Kasi
Yes.
sabi nung ibang na tumatanggap ng mga ayuda, sawa na raw sila dun sa sardinas.
Oh.
No? So,
Swerte nga yung certain localities, yung ayuda pinapakita, ang binibigay bayong-bayong ng pagkain ng gulay.
Yes.
Yun sana lagi, no, hindi yung delata.
Yeah, may mga LGUs na ganyan. They picked up on it
yeah.
That's
So,
very smart.
Yeah.
Oo.
Then more power to those who did that and
Yes.
foresight that look,
May
you
kulay
you're
sila.
gonna live on canned goods alone, man. You're not gonna last. Your health is not gonna be.
Oo, wala
very
nang
good.
chi yung ganun pagkain.
No more
energy.
nutrition, processed food. Siyempre, modern times na dapat We should be able to produce a lot more fresh food for our citizenry than rely on, processed food.
Yeah.
Okay, so, malnutrition has always been a problem here sa atin, unfortunately, no. One of the latest data released by UNICEF, there are 7 million children suffering from serious malnutrition dito sa ating bansa. Yeah? In fact, every day 95 children can die of malnutrition. Kaya this is really such an imperative thing to put our attention on, In fact, they said 27 out of 1,000 Filipino children don't even make it past their fifth birthday. Imagine how terrible, no? One-third of our children are also stunted. Alam mo, pag sinabing stunted, we're not just talking about they're not tall, but that means yung kanilang body hindi nakaka-develop properly. Just that, during the first few years, diyan nagde-develop yung ating mga organs, our brain, all the different parts of the body still need to grow in a child's body. Kaya it's so important that they have the right food, yeah. So, right now the causes of this, kaya tayo may problema sa malnutrition. Of course, they have inadequate access to food. Lalo na ito nga nagkaroon tayo ng mga quarantine, di ba? Hindi na nga tayo makalabas. We cannot, at saka where the food comes from, as we were saying earlier, it has to be transported. Ang daming hindi nga nakabiyahe dahil sa mga restrictions on travel. And then, of course, with the quarantine, marami rin hindi nakatrabaho, maraming nawalan ng trabaho. Even the places where we used to buy food, sarado na. Some even permanently, no? I saw some areas na when I had the chance to go out, I saw, oh my God, that thing is totally closed. Wala na, hindi na bubukas, yeah? So during this pandemic situation, the situation has become more dire for our countrymen, no? Aside from this difficult access, also, hindi rin masyado ang education with regards to proper nutrition.
Yes, alam nyo, adding to that, the nutritious, teaching children about what is nutritious to eat.
But also the parents.
And also
yeah.
what is to be prepared. Importante yan.
Yes.
Kasi nawala na nga yung nagluluto sa bahay eh.
Yes.
The common practice. And plus, eating together as a family.
Yeah. Just last week, the last week of September, they were celebrating how a family should come together and eat together. Yeah.
Meron din sinabi sa akin isang friend ko, si Ramona, pinakwento niya, na yung isang pamangkin niya, inalagaan niya for some time, love na love raw ang veggies, carrots,
vegetables.
Very good. Oo.
Kasi sabi niya, in-explain niya dun sa parent na it's a matter of teaching your child to acquire the taste, the right taste for fresh vegetables and fruits. Pag sinanay natin ng puro processed food, sugary and everything, yun din na madidevelop na taste. So, pag binigay mo naman fresh vegetables, they will really enjoy also fresh vegetables.
Yeah, this kind of training has to come early. So the parents, it has to come from the parents also na they know what is good for their children so that from the start, trained na yung bata, di ba? Kasi otherwise, we have, like for example, ang daming bata ngayon underweight. They are so, 7% of our children are too thin for their age, yeah?
In height, yeah? Ganun ba yan?
Yeah, and height,
Yung laki
yes.
nila.
Yes, for their height. Right. And then, even our adolescents, we're not just talking about the little children, but also the adolescents. No? We
Kasi
have problems. Kasi obesity naman. Kasi pag sinabing
kasi
malnutrition,
sa kabataan
both
yun
sides yan eh.
yun na yung habits nila, na-imbibe na sa kanila.
Yes.
Acceptable na sa kanila, ganito kakainin nila.
So, the education has to be strong. Kasi nga, when we say malnutrition, we're not only talking about the payat. We're also talking about the sobrang taba. Yeah? Which also causes many problems like
malnourished din, kahit mukhang
wrong
Malusog.
nourishment.
Ay
Yes.
malnourished siya.
Matindi sa ating Pinoy na, di ba, cute yung mataba. We think they're malusog, when actually that's not necessarily true, no? So because of this lack of nourishment, proper nourishment, even if mataba yung bata, he can be suffering from anemia kasi he's eating the wrong foods. Pwedeng kulang siya sa vitamin A, kulang sa iron, kulang sa iodine, okay? So, overweight kids are also in danger kasi they have conditions that will make it so they get high blood pressure, high cholesterol, too much sugar, too much triglycerides. So, bata pa lang, they get already the diseases that normally for old people, older adults.
And definitely because being overweight yung quality of life niyan early on sa buhay niya. Kumbaga yung quality of life niya compromised na kagad.
Yes, very poor. In fact, some people
Poor.
have likened it to having cancer. Imagine, bata pa lang na
Ganon
overweight.
ka-serious?
Ganon
Ganon
ka-serious
ka-serious siya.
daw. Oo, yung
Cancer.
quality of life is as poor as those who have cancer. Yeah,
Alam niyo dito sa ating adolescent stage, close to 36% ng ating adolescent population
obese.
obese.
Oo. Sa
Overweight.
yata yan, no? Sa city.
Sa city.
Oo.
Tapos sa mga ibang urban centers na rin sa probinsya, nasa 29%. So nakikita nyo na sa bata pa lang. So pag ganun ang nakikita natin, ibig sabihin yung health systems natin will be compromised na
Oo,
naman yan.
they'll be
Magkakaproblema tayo.
Yes, oo.
Kasi when you're in this situation early in your life, yung mga uri na sakit na haharapin mo, imbis na later in your life mo mahaharap yan in your 50s or middle age, haharapin mo na as young adults.
Oo. So whether we are underweight or overweight, not only the quality of life is hampered, but even the length of life. Yeah. For example, yung bata masyadong severely underweight. Sometimes 2 years old pa lang, they don't live anymore. They die from that, no? And then also overweight ganoon. You know, I have a cousin who died when he was 14 years old because he was so obese. He died of a heart attack.
Wow,
Yeah,
bata.
that long ago pa. But now, our cases nga of obesity are even more than before. So, you know, if a child has, or anybody, overweight persons, usually ganito ang habits nila, no? Of course, they skip breakfast. You know, this is not okay. Because when you skip breakfast, you throw off your balance. You end up eating a lot later on, no? And then they snack a lot. They eat too fast. They don't chew their food, or they drink too little water. They end up drinking soft drinks, all those things that are full of sugar or caffeine. They hardly exercise, or they take too much salt and processed food. Yeah. So of course, to help yourself, these are all the things that you have to overturn. Yeah. You should try to avoid junk food and snacks. You should have regular healthy meals, no? At least 2 or 3 times a day. You have to have a lot of water because that helps you digest properly, and everything in the body works better when you have this water. You really need it. You need active exercise as much as possible outdoors so you can get the sunshine. Kasi the sunshine also helps, it factors into your sleeping. Yeah. If you don't get enough sunshine, you're not gonna be able to sleep right. And if you don't sleep right, then it messes your hormones. You end up eating more. Okay.
Konektado.
Kaya
Konektado
ano yan eh,
lahat. Oo.
it's
We
all
need the
interlinked.
rest. Yes.
Kasi alam nyo,
Oo.
katulad ngayon, di ba, amongst the young people, may problema rin tayo na yung sa mental health issue na which na-magnify ng
nakaka-affect
ating
din yan.
COVID issue, no? One has to understand that poor nutrition, lack of exercise, contributes.
Oh, kasi you don't burn the energy eh.
Don't burn their energy,
Oo.
you don't,
You
kumbaga,
store
ano,
it instead as fat.
you don't have, kumbaga na, alam nyo, when you exercise regularly, it becomes a break from all the activities that you're doing. Tatanggal yung yung attention mo sa ginagawa mo,
It
nako-concentrate ka.
relieves your stress,
Yes,
yeah.
relieves. It's a stress relief yan. So ngayon, if you
Tsaka
have-
mood booster siya.
if you embrace a habit where you're not eating well na, then you're not exercising, and then your environment, is not very conducive. The formula is
Patong-patong
always
na.
ano yan eh. At least you eat well, even if your sleeping area may not be as conducive, pero kumakain ka ng tama. Or you make it a point to exercise at least 150 minutes a week. Ano na lang yun, hindi ganun karami yun. Hindi ganun karaming oras siya. And then, at the same time, get 6 to 7 hours of sleep and rest. Ngayon, if you can't get this, quality of air is not good. So, siyempre, there will be a lot of issues that will come about. And the resiliency and the capacity of your body to face the different stress, would be weakened. Your immune system is weakened. Pag mahina ang katawan mo, kasi ang mga taong mas ang katawan pag mahina na rin, naapektuhan yung mental capacity mo.
Yes, it affects each other.
Okay?
Kaya nga rin, like now, ang dami sa atin chronically tired. Kahit mga bata, they don't get enough rest eh. You have to have the balance talaga.
Aba, no energy.
Right.
Wala nang matamlay na.
Oo.
It all has to do with the stress of not eating the right food, or if you eat food that is not nutritious, the body has to process it more to get, para mapiga niya kung ano man ang nutrition nun at saka maitanggal niya sa katawan niya
Yan, mga toxins.
yung mga toxins. So, anong nangyari niyan? Alam niyo ba na, for example, ang katawan natin is 60% water. Tapos marami sa atin, ang habit hindi na tayo umiinom ng tubig.
Oo.
Ang iniinom natin, iba-ibang drinks, sugary and stuff like that. So that's not good enough.
You really need water.
It's not kumbaga substitute. Ngayon, kung wala kayo niyan, hindi ka umiinom ng proper, 60% ng katawan mo tubig. So ang mas importante malaman ng marami na there are certain foods that are high water content. These are foods like vegetables and fruits.
Yeah, watermelon,
Basta
singkamas.
high water content food. Huwag natin isipin lang yung, sinaing yan, may tubig na yan eh. Iba yun.
Ay, hindi.
Hindi yun. Dapat ang pagkain, ang wastong pagkain, kunyari, dahil ang katawan mo high water content yung nature ng katawan mo, pag ikaw ay kumain ng high water content food, your digestive system doesn't have to digest the food so
Hindi
intensely.
mahirapan.
Hindi siya mahirapan. So, alam nyo, resulta niyan? You will have more energy because, alam nyo,
tutulungan nyo kasing
sa
body.
pag-aaral, the biggest percentage of amongst the body organ systems, digestive, respiratory, lahat yan, ang biggest nagdidemand ay yung digestive system. It demands close to 50 to 65% of your energy requirement goes to the digestions of food.
More pa din the circulatory.
Kaya ba yung ibang tao, pag kumain ng marami, parang gusto na lang matulog.
Exactly.
Napagod.
Tapos,
Ang
the question would be, may ganun na nga, tapos ano pa ang kakainin mo? Let's say, if the food is not
Mali pa na food.
nakatugma sa
Oo.
design ng ating katawan. You know, for example, our teeth is designed to grind food. Chew. Wala tayong mga pangil, di ba? May ganun yan eh.
Yeah.
You know, so in our digestive system, our intestines natin mahaba. It takes such and such time to process food. Tama?
Yeah.
So we need to help it work well.
If you want, if you're the driver, kumbaga ikaw yung namamahala sa katawan mo, tingnan mo yung mga bagay na yun. If you embrace a healthy lifestyle, eating habits, it contributes a lot to the overall well-being of a person. Now, with the exercise, syempre, cardiovascular naman yan eh. Ang benefits dyan, sa puso, sa lungs, ganyan yan. Pero pagdating sa digestive system, kasi malnutrition kasi meron such thing as malnutrition caused by malabsorption or yung
really the wrong
digestion.
choice of food also.
Yes, wrong food choices, wrong combination of food. And the timing of eating is also wrong.
Oo.
Hindi
Daming
nakatugma sa ating kumagana yung circadian cycle ng ating katawan.
Okay, marami masyadong merienda in between.
Ayan. So, hindi nakakapahinga yung digestive system mo. Nauubos tuloy yung digestive juices mo. By the time na kumain ka ulit, wala ka ng pang-digestive systems mo. Yung juices mo will not be available. Nauubos yan eh.
So anyway, with this malnutrition problem, please let's help ourselves. And also let's help others. I think that we should, like tayo sa Gopalakas, this is actually a program from helping feed the malnourished children. Yeah. So it's nice to join such a program. And also, let's help the communities, the schools, maybe have their own gardens already there. So habang the children are growing up, they're learning what foods to grow that are really healthy for them.
You know what else can be done in schools? At least ngayon nakauwi ang tao. But this is an opportunity for a family to get their act together.
Yeah, grow food at home.
Go fruit at home and then eat as a family together. Concern yourself on what your children is eating.
Yeah, makita mo talaga kung anong kinakain.
Tapos, tuturuan nyo rin sila. Have them take part in the whole process.
Yeah.
Alam nyo, that's how you
Children
learn
love to help in
Yeah.
the kitchen, yeah.
Alam nyo, teach them how to cook nutritious meals, yung ganun ba, and explain the whole process of good nutrition.
And
Para
be
we
the
can-
model, yeah, for
exactly.
eating right.
And eat as a family, parang kumbaga magsama-sama kayo, and dito tayo natututo ng gusto. So anyway, sa ating
Okay, there's a
mga
lot to be said,
tagapakinig,
yeah.
we hope we were able, with the short time that we had, and these are points that you can apply and actually try to make things better at home, you know? We want to see, kumbaga no, ang buhay natin, dapat may longevity. It is,
And with quality sana, no?
yes, hindi yung pagtanda mo, saka ka na gamot ka na lang ng gamot or dependent ka na sa mga doktor. There's such a thing as living a life that is very productive, even in your senior years.
Yes.
Maraming salamat ho. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next time.
Thank you, Tito Toby, Tita Marisa, Tito Socorro. As always, such an informative and such a what is it? Inspiring segment. So live a productive life and apply all the techniques that our three experts from La Union have given you. Thank you, and see you next week again. For the viewer who asked the question to Doc Toby kanina, meron atang question na please tell ito. From Nitz Kapin says, please tell us how many times to take VCO per day. Si Doc Toby answered the question off screen and offline, no? Ito ang answer niya. Recommended dosage is 1 tablespoon after every meal, or if with a meal, also okay. Make sure to finish everything. On that note, no, for all of our viewers who would like to ask questions to any of our segment hosts or episode guest na sumasabit ata ang aking earphones, you can take note of the hotline that we flash on screen every so often. You can also message us on any of the platforms, Facebook, YouTube. I think we're live on YouTube. Or post your question as a comment below also. We will also be flashing Doc Toby's email later. So if you would like to send your inquiry or your question to him directly, you can do that as well. Right now, we'll take a quick break before we proceed to our next segment, the good food. Don't tune out. Stay here. Stay Gopalakas.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Gopalakas.
Magbabalik ang Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide. Good news para sa mga kababayan natin abroad. Mapapanood nyo na ang inyong mga paboritong V81 radio shows sa Amazon Fire TV. Simple lang ang gawin. Hanapin lang ang V81 TV app and install. Tiyak na wala kayong mamimiss na episodes na gusto nyo dahil mapapanood nyo na ito anytime and anywhere you want. Gamit ang Amazon Fire TV. Tandaan lang, just install V81 TV app and you're good to go. Another first from V81 Radio Worldwide. Balikan na natin ang Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Right, welcome back to the show. For all of the listeners who have been tuned in since kanina pa, thank you for staying with our program. And I'd like to greet at this point, no, yung mga viewers natin over on Facebook. Mr. Nitsu says, good morning, Gopalakas from Silang, Cavite. Good morning, Nits. Leo Jacob says, thanks, Doc. Doc Toby, I hope you're tuned in. May nagte-thank you po sa inyo. Thomas Streichner says, good morning. Rosalinda Lascano, our top fan, who always listens every week. Gayahin niyo po siya. Tuned in again from Okinawa. Magandang tanghali, Gopalakas. Tanghali na pala doon. I see. Harry Yumol is listening from or watching from Lawag City. Thank you for tuning in. Francis Mina also, one of our regular listeners. Thank you for tuning in and good morning. At this point, I'd like to play the intro for our next segment, ang segment na nakakagutom, the good food. Tech roller intro.
healthy community starts at home. As mothers ourselves, we know that food nurtures and heals the body. Here on The Good Food, our focus is simple: to inspire you to eat and live healthier. In the last interview series of The Good Food, we rounded up a few kids who shared their thoughts on a plant-based diet. In this week's episode, let's hear from the parents who are in different stages of their plant-based journey.
Hi, I'm Bas and I'm 30 years old. I've been on the plant-based diet since I was born.
I'm Gaur and I'm 23 years old on a plant-based diet since I was 7 years old. And we have a daughter named Ayla. She's 2 years old. She's also been on a plant-based diet since birth.
Hi, my name's Luke Landrigan. I'm 38 years old. I'm a father of two. My son Kai is 12 years old. He used to be plant-based diet until he was around 7 years old. My daughter Luna, she's 3 years old and she's been in a plant-based diet since birth.
Hi, I'm Trisha May Lim and I'm 34 years old. I have two sons, a 12-year-old and a 4-year-old. Both are boys. The whole family turned vegan last year, November 2019.
A lot of families are moving toward plant-based eating, and it looks like it's here to stay. Raising plant-based kids may be a concern for many. What is it like in a plant-based household? Is it easy? What are the reasons for doing so? Here are their answers.
For me, my parents decided to transition to a plant-based diet on a very early age. They were in their teens. They made the decision on their end. So it just carried over to the next generation, which was me, my brothers, my sisters.
The movie The Game Changers gave us a new meaning about plant-based eating. Not only that, from that movie, I then watched different documentaries that opened our eyes. First, we need to be a skinnier family because we're on a chubbier side. Not only that, I want the whole family to be healthier in terms of cardio, our stamina, and leaning into more physical activities. I would like for us to live longer as we go on through the journey. We would like to be more compassionate to animals.
We want to be able to contribute to the betterment of Mother Earth in our own little way. So if we can do something now to give our children, the next generations to come, a better world to live in, then we are all for it.
As far as eating, we want them to eat the healthier choices. As a cook, I do have a very strong belief in serving food that is filled with love and that's not filled with violence, which is something that I strongly agree with.
My transition to plant-based diet was fairly easy because I was young. I've met other kids who were also on a plant-based diet. So when that happened,
it was easier.
Yeah, it was easier. I didn't feel like I was left out or I was missing out on something.
The first 2 weeks is the most challenging part because you'll have headaches, you'll feel weak, but remember that's toxins leaving your body.
The transition to a plant-based diet was not that hard for us because we became vegan overnight. We did this cold turkey, so it was quite easy. But then for my kids, though, it's harder because they were just used to eating animal products, so it's harder for them. I made them watch some documentaries, explain to them how factories, slaughterhouses affect the environment, affect the animals' lives. So that's the reason why as much as I would like to tell them, I explain to them every single day.
In terms of changes, we've never really made any because we it's been the same since we were children.
We cut off on white rice, white sugar, and white flour.
At home, we stopped buying animal products, dairy, eggs, meat, and everything. At the same time, even my employees who go here and work here for us, I told them that they're not supposed to eat or serve meat anymore or cook meat in our pans and pots so that there won't be any contamination. At the same time, I switched my whole business into plant-based or vegan.
For my daughter's bound, when she went to play school before COVID, we would just pack her fruits, fresh fruits she can share with her friends. The usual rice, ulam, sinigang or gata, but of course, all without meat.
Usually fruits, na-cut na slice lang na fruits, or vegan pancakes or oatmeal.
Whenever we eat, we serve, and it's surprising the reactions that they have. It's like, oh, this doesn't have meat, or like, how did you make this? So it really does interest them in a way, like, you know, they feel like when they eat our food, it's guilt-free. They feel like they can eat so much more because they don't feel so guilty eating it.
I make sure that it's yummy, it's nutritious, and it's tasty. It's like spaghetti, lumpia, pizza. I make my own dough. I make my own cheese. I usually have vegetables, make my own meat, all plant-based. So I didn't change a lot. I just make sure I stick to the flavor.
For their birthdays, we get our food from our vegan friends na chef. It's so good.
Keep exposing your children to what you want them to eat.
Don't give up and don't get frustrated. So sometimes they don't like it at first, but you know, eventually through small bites, even if they just lick it, or even if they just look at it, even if they play with it, you know, just leave it at that. You know, one of the key things that I kind of pick up is that the more you try to enforce and try to force feed them like the fruits and the vegetables, the harder it is to actually get them to like it. They start to associate it with a negative experience. Just factor in that they're their own person, and there are really some things that they don't like and some things that they really like, and it's just a matter of respecting it.
I know there's a lot of parents that are having a hard time introducing fruits or vegetables to their kids. Luckily for us, si Luna sanay na since she was a baby, or since birth she was eating vegetables and fruits, so it wasn't really hard for us. But I know it's challenging for the new parents. I guess kailangan mo talagang tutukan like when you're sitting, you have to sit with them or play with them, pretend they're dinosaurs eating, you know, vegetables, or cut it into shapes, stuff like that.
This is a struggle with my picky eater, my toddler. So what we do at first, we, you know, put breading, some fry it, or like blend some more, put it in, mix, hide it. But now we're slowly giving him the whole food that we're showing him that we're only eating vegetables. And now he already eats a lot of vegetables, even with its original form. I make sure to model myself. So for example, I want them to eat a palaya, or I want them to eat fruits. I make sure I show them what I'm eating. I enjoy it. Then they could emulate or model that after me. So I have to walk the walk and talk the talk. You can do it. Don't give up. We all start somewhere. Show them that you're passionate about your new journey, and also make sure to let them know what are the benefits, because if they understand that you're doing this for a purpose, then they could easily adopt
the idea, and then they'll be happy to follow you.
Most successful transitions happen gradually. Study it real well and apply it slowly but surely, rather than just abruptly stopping and then going to a rebound because you've been on a salad diet and getting frustrated. Arm yourself with information about the nutrition, where you could do your substitutes, where you get your sources of nutrients, so your body doesn't have to go into shock.
Beginning is always the hardest, but you can take it one meal at a time.
It's better for the body. It's lighter on the pocket. It's better for the environment, and also it's safe for the animals.
I encourage parents to go on a plant-based diet. Just try it for 2 weeks or try it for a month. It's easier if your whole household is going through it instead of it's just one of you guys. For us, it made us feel we're lighter, we feel stronger, we're more energized, we're more, at the same time, we're more calm inside. Once you put in all the good stuff inside you, all the healthy and nutritious food inside you, your body is gonna take time to adjust to it, but once it has adjusted to the right food na, man, you'll feel 110% better. I swear you're never gonna go back to eating dead meat again.
What a great video from our friends at the Good Food. Nakakataba ng puso seeing all these people making the change in their lives to move plant-based, no? I couldn't help but reminisce nung ako'y bata. It was much harder to observe a plant-based diet, and thanks ultimately to my parents to make it possible. But right now, I think you noticed a commonality, no, among all the interviewees. Sabi nila, don't give up. It's easier now. Just keep trying. Try maybe a little bit at a time. And sabi nga ng aking kumpadre na si Vas, sabi niya, it's good for your body, it's light on the pocket, and it's good for the environment. If any of these purposes resonate with you, then that's good enough reason to switch to a plant-based diet, no? If not all of these reasons. Pero kahit isa sa mga reasons na yun, just do it for yourself, even if it's just for yourself. You know, even if you don't seem to, the environment doesn't seem to weigh on your decisions, then just do it for yourself, your personal health. Then you'll observe the changes that surfer dude. Sorry, I apologize. I forgot his name. He's so cool, no? Nakahat pa. It's super cool lang niya with his family. Yeah, but what he was saying, now you'll feel the changes and the benefits. You'll feel 110% better. And I can attest to this. But I'm a bit biased, so take it from them. Don't take it from me. At this point, before we proceed to our last segment, I'd like to greet happy birthday to my big boss man, Attorney Fran Sabili. Happy birthday, bro. Hope you have a good one. To Tiger Conrad Javier, happy birthday, bro. Hope you have a good one too. And to Attorney Violet Mercado Naharo, happy birthday. Hope you are well. Please support the show, or please continue to support the show. Right now, I'd like to proceed to our last segment. Last but not the least, hope you still stay, because this is one of my favorite segments, actually. I petitioned for this segment to be at the start and at the end of our program. But regardless, enjoy our fourth segment, Music Meditation. Roll our intro tech.
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Thank you very much. Mga kaibigan, hello po. Sana okay lang kayo lahat. Ako po si Manu. Welcome to Music Meditation. Oras na naman po para mag-relax sa healing sounds. Napakaganda po ng mga pinag-usapan this episode. And as you can see, food is really vital and important to keep our bodies healthy and strong. May I please add na as spiritual beings, we also need spiritual food. So yung mga healing sounds na kinakanta namin. They are spiritual sound, and they have the potency to nourish one's heart and one's mind and enable us to experience yung happiness and peace na we're all longing for. So please join me and my family as we rest our hearts and rest our minds in these healing sounds.
Thank you, Manu, and our friends from Music Meditation PH. If you like that track or any of their tracks, you can follow their Facebook page at Music Med. Search nyo lang, lalabas yan. On that note, also, be sure to follow, subscribe, like, whatever, everything, our Gopalakas page for further updates. And in terms of updates, I'd like to remind everyone, if you missed the announcement last episode, Sifcare is hosting a video contest and songwriting/poem contest. The theme is achieving trash-free seas. So if you wanna contribute to our cause and earn a little moolah on the way, you can check that out on our Facebook page, Sifcare. You can see the details there. And if ever you have any clarification, you can just message us directly, or if you took note and you're quick with your hands, then you should have been able to take the hotline of Gopalakas when it was flashed on screen. I was informed also by one of our viewers that the cool surfer dude that I was referring to kanina was Luke. Luke, if you're watching, I apologize. I have a memory of a goldfish, but you're really cool, bro. Thanks for contributing to that segment. That's all the time we have for you today. Hopefully you had a good session. Stay tuned, like our page, and join us next week for even more information and tidbits, life tips, life hacks on wellness. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping tuned in to this station, to all our segment hosts, to our guest, Doc Toby. Thank you for coming on to the show. Tech Miguel, thank you. Gopalakas. See you next week. Goodbye.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, Gopalakas.
Pangkalusugan at pangkalikasan, samahan si Atty. Jai at DJ Gaur sa pagpapaunlad ng kalusugan sa katawan, isipan at espiritual. Go Palakas! Go Palakas! Pangkalusugan at pangkalikasan tuwing Sabado, 10 a.m. Philippine Time. Dito lang yan sa V81 Radio Worldwide. Walang kasing saya ang Paskong Pinoy. Dumaan man ang problema at pandemya, kayang-kayang lampasan. Basta't nagdadamayan at nagmamahalan.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko dito sa V81 Radio Worldwide.
Ito ang paborito ng bawat Pilipino. Basta all hits, all Pinoy, panalo. Merong kwentong iyakan at tawanan. Kahit nasaan ka man, ito